For Memorial Day weekend, I decided to go to Fundy National Park in New Brunswick, Canada. The drive took about 10 hours from Rensselaer. I left on Thursday and drove for 6 hours and decided to stop at a rest area just outside of Bangor, Maine. After sleeping for about 7 hours, I continued on and crossed the border from Maine into New Brunswick. 3 hours later, I finally made it to Fundy National Park. It took about 20 minutes to drive from the park entrance to Chinecto Campgrounds, where I would be staying for the next 3 days.
So good afternoon from Fundy National Park in New Brunswick, Canada. I am at my campsite now. It was a long 10-hour drive, but I think there was a hurricane here, so there's some like trees that are cut down, I guess probably because they broke, but my area is okay. Wish I would have gotten the site that's down there, which is a little bit nicer, but this is fine too. I'm gonna set my tent up here.
It took me about 12 minutes to set up my tent. It wasn't too hard to put together, except the poles kept falling down at one point. It definitely would have been easier to set up if I had some help, but I did the best that I could. This tent I got was made to fit 4 people, but I think 2 would be most comfortable. It was very spacious and I could stand up with no issues. The last tent I had was tiny, and this was definitely a step up from that.
I'm gonna go get some lunch now. I'm starving. I didn't eat lunch yet.
The great thing about this park is that there is a small town nearby called Alma, which only takes about 5 minutes to get to. I decided to eat at a restaurant called Tipsy Tails. It was a nice warm day out, but there was fog coming in from the sea because of the high tide, so it made it a bit chilly. Despite it being a little chilly, I still wanted to sit outside. I had the fish and chips, which was very delicious. So here's what the fog looked like as it was coming in from the sea. Isn't that cool? The first trail I decided to do was Dixon Falls. This was a short and easy 15-minute walk to a nice waterfall. I got here around 3 PM and there weren't a whole lot of people here. I think I saw maybe 4 people on the trail. The only thing I didn't like was that I was getting attacked by bugs. It was worth it though because the waterfall was gorgeous, just like me.
Alright, doing my second trail of the day, and this one is called Matthews Head Trail, I think. It's a loop trail and it's about 1.5 hours to 2 hours depending on how quick you go, but it's supposed to allow you to see the coast a little bit, so I'm excited to see that. A little scared because there's not a lot of people on this trail. There's only 2 people behind me right now. I didn't see any other cars, so kind of scared. I'm hoping to make it back by dinner time. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do for dinner yet because I thought there was gonna be like a grill, but there is no grill there. It's just a fire pit. So now, I don't know. Maybe I'll have to find like a restaurant if it's open back in the little town called Alma. Apparently there's a lookout somewhere here. I'm gonna go find it. I don't know where it is, but it's a little bit off the trail. I have to go back once I'm done. But hopefully this looks nice, and you guys will see it in just a moment. Alright, I think I'm almost to the parking lot now, so I'm at the tail end of my hike. It wasn't too challenging. The only thing was like there were some spots where there was some incline, but for the most part it was pretty pretty easy and a well worth hike. It's getting chilly though, so I do need to get back. I just finished having dinner and I am out by the shore now and the tide has completely receded. It's crazy how I can just walk on it right now, which I'm gonna do.
On Saturday, I decided to go see the infamous Hopewell Rocks. These rock formations aren't actually in Fundy National Park, but a part of the Hopewell Rocks Provincial Park. It was about a 40-minute drive from my campsite. It cost about 16 Canadian dollars, which is about 12 US dollars. The ticket grants you 2 consecutive days to see the park during low and high tide. The tides are some of the highest in the world, reaching heights of 46 feet or more. The rock formations are the result of thousands of years of water erosion caused from the extreme tides. They can be as tall as 40 to 70 feet tall. I went during low tide, so I was able to walk along the coast and explore the sea stacks. I'm glad I wore my hiking boots because it was pretty muddy. As you can see here, there were lots of caves along the coast, but they were closed off for our safety. I ended up walking along the entire walkable coast. There were workers at the end of the trail to make sure that when the high tide came in, they would let people know when to get back to the trailhead safely. The last thing you'd want to do is get stuck here. There were so many different rock formations to see. The map they gave us had names of the rocks, but I wasn't sure which they were. I called this one the nipple because it looks like a nipple. This picture was taken at the very end of the trail. The stairs you see here is used for emergency use only. I ended up coming back the following day to see the high tide. We couldn't get on the coast but was able to view the rocks from the stairwell that we used to access the coast. After spending a few hours at the park, I decided to go to a city called Moncton just a little north of where the park was. I wanted to try out a cute little Korean restaurant and ordered bibimbap. It was the first time I tried it and it was so good. I was a little cold last night, so I went to Walmart to buy another blanket to keep me warm for the night. I also bought a small grill so that I could cook some kebabs. When I got back to my campsite, I went to grab more firewood to keep the bugs away. It was nice to have access to unlimited firewood. For dinner, I had a cold Smirnoff and cooked up some shrimp kebabs. It was a great way to end such a fun adventurous day. On the last day of my trip, I decided to go see Point Wolf Beach during low and high tide. I started out at Ship Haven Trailhead, which was an easy 35-minute hike which takes you down to the beach where you can explore during low tide. This area was once home to a small village that thrived in the timber industry. Today, the park is recovering from the extensive logging activities that took place during that time with the help of conservation programs that help protect the park's biodiversity. Walking along this trail, I saw a bunch of cute chipmunks. I tried to take a picture of it, but it ran away too fast. This spot that you see here is where ships would sail in to transport the lumber that was being produced here. Back during this time, there were many ships and it was a busy port.
So I made it to the bottom of the place and the tide is very low, so I can walk all the way down. And it's beautiful here. The water, you can actually see the water just receding right now. It should come back up around, I think, 3 p.m. Look at this view, it's gorgeous. So I just had lunch and it's 2 p.m. or 1 p.m. now and the tide has definitely come back. It's crazy how different it looks right now.
This was the last night for me at Fundy National Park, and the fire I started was one of the best I did. It kept me really warm and cozy. I enjoyed this trip a lot, and I'm very happy that this was my first Canadian national park. I plan to visit more in the near future. Until then, thank you Canada for a very pleasant experience.